Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Previously, we have looked into who are the stakeholders. That means why companies need to report on their CSR activities. So because they have stakeholders. And then you also have a theory. Okay, a stockholder theory or the stakeholder theory. You need to identify, that means why, what is the use of theory. So what is a theory? So let's look at a theory first before we move on into this one. So basically, okay, a stockholder theory, so the Friedman doctrine, also called the shareholder theory or stockholder theory, is a normative theory of business ethics. Okay, it's about the business ethics advanced by economist Milton Friedman, which holds that a firm's sole responsibility is to its shareholders. So as such, the goal of the firm is to maximize returns to the shareholders. And then you also have the stakeholder theory. It's a theory of organizational management and business ethics, okay, that accounts for multiple constituencies impacted by business entities. You have all the multiple constituents, okay, you have the multiple, this one, these are all your stakeholders, not only your shareholders, okay, and then impacted by the business, they are all impacted by the business entities of business activities, like the employees, the suppliers that we have seen just now. So you have to understand the stockholder or the shareholder and the stakeholders, the wider group. And then you need a theory. You remember, you need a theory. Okay, you need a theory. So in your learning outcome just now, you need to know about the theories to explain the corporate social responsibility. And then if you just Google, you find what is a theory. So a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something. Okay, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. So you want to explain something. You want to explain a certain phenomenon. Why things happen. Why companies need to report on their CSR activities. So you want to explain that based on a set of principles, and that you use a theory. Okay. First, I'm just explaining to you what theory is all about. So for example, if let's say you want to explain why students do not focus in class, or why does the students do not perform. Okay, you can explain that. Okay, for example, you have a good lecturer, you have all the books, all the supporting materials, but you do not perform in your exam, for example. Why? Because you can explain that based on a certain theory. Okay, just take for example, you have I think you are familiar with the Muscular Theory or Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, so that is a theory to explain. Okay, just take that for example. Just Google that. Okay, for example, you have Maslow hierarchy of needs theory. So what does it say? So you have this one, for example. Okay, for example, Maslow hierarchy of needs is a motivational theory. So it wants to explain about the motivation. A theory is what is a theory? Theory is used to explain a certain thing, a certain phenomena. So for example, we have this Maslow theory. This is a motivational theory in psychology. Okay, it comprising a 5-tier model of human needs. Okay, normally depicted in a pyramid or hierarchical level. So you can see the lower parts, or the bottom one is the physiological needs. That means you need food, you need water. Okay, for example, why you have a good book, you have a conducive environment, why you cannot focus on the study, why you cannot focus. The answer is because you are hungry. Because you are hungry, that means you need to fulfill the basic needs first. Okay, this one is your basic needs. That means you need to have food, you need to have water. Okay, and then currently you have pandemic COVID-19, so you feel insecure, so you don't want to go to classes, for example, because you are afraid that you will be affected by that COVID-19. So you need safety, so you need security, so you need to fulfill all these needs first. And then what about this one, about the belongingness, the love? You don't have any friends, your friends don't want to friend with you. Okay, so you need this one. So if all these things has been fulfilled, then only you can focus on your accomplishment, on your goal. You can focus on the fulfilling. You can have the self-fulfillment needs. Okay, so that means this theory is used to explain the motivational effect or the motivation of a certain individual. Why you are if you want to have this one, the self-actualization, this self-actualization can only be achieved if you have fulfilled all these bottom needs or the basic needs and the psychological needs. Then only you will have your self fulfillment needs. Okay, in this order. So the same goes, you have a theory to explain about. So a theory is being used to explain, okay, to explain a certain scenario, a certain phenomena, a certain things that happen. Why? Okay, so you explain that using a theory. Okay, once you understood what theory is all about, then we look into the Stockholder Theory and the Stakeholder Theory just now. So I'm just using this article by Emily Hansker in 2018. So what is a Stockholder Theory? Um, Okay, Stockholder Theory, also known as a shareholder theory, says that a corporation's managers have a duty to maximize shareholder return. So the managers, you have the separation of ownership and control, right? In a company, the owners, okay, the owners are the shareholders. Owners are the shareholders, and then you have the companies. The companies are being managed by the managers. So managers have a duty to maximize the return to the shareholders. Okay, according to the theory, which was first introduced by Milton Friedman in 1960s, so a corporation is primarily responsible to its stockholders or your shareholders due to the cyclical nature of business hierarchy. Okay, so according to Milton Friedman, the company or the corporations, the primary responsibility of the corporations is to fulfill the needs of the owner that is the shareholders. So shareholders approve the salary of a corporation's business managers, who in turn are in charge of the corporation's spending, which should also be in line with the wishes of the shareholders. In other words, the shareholders appoint the managers or the board of directors, and they are responsible to fulfill the needs of the shareholders who have appointed them. That is basically what this statement is all about. Okay, and then alternatively, after that, you have the stakeholder theory. So stakeholder theory says that business managers have an ethical duty, okay, you have an ethical duty to both the corporation stockholders as well as those individuals or groups that contribute to the company's profit and activities, and those who could benefit from or be harmed by the company. In other words, now, not only you have the owners, you not only have the shareholders, but you also have a wider group. That wider group is known as the stockholder, it's known as your stakeholders, because all these entities, they have a stake in your company. Okay, you are being affected by the company's activity. For example, how does the company get the profit? So the profit, for example, the customer will buy a product, and you will get the sales revenue as well as the profit from the customers. So you have to fulfill their needs. What if you provide the goods or services, but the customers do not buy it? So that will also affect your business activities as well as affecting your profit. So that means you need to concern about the customers. Not only if you need to concern about your owner or your shareholder, you also need to concern about the customers. So that is what it is saying here. So you also being affected, as well as those individuals or groups that contribute to the company's profit. The customers also contribute to the company's profit. Okay, so the company will benefit, or could benefit from or be harmed by the company. If the company is doing something bad, for example, pollute the environment, the customers also, or the society, will also be affected. So a corporation's stakeholders typically include the stockholders, the employees, customers, suppliers, and so on. So according to this theory, a company must consider the interests of all stakeholders. So when you want to make a business decision, you have to take into consideration the interests of your stakeholders, not only your shareholders. So hopefully you have a better understanding on the difference between your stockholder theory and the stakeholder theory. And because these stakeholders, they are being affected by your business activities, that's why they need to know about the business activities. How do you report that? So how do you tell them that these are the things that you have done? So you have to report that, and you have some guidelines on the reporting. So you have the GRI, you have the reporting guideline just now issued by the sustainability reporting guideline just now issued by the Bursa Malaysia. So companies, they need to report on their CSR activities. Okay. So hopefully you can understand this. So thank you very much.